What is up, guys? In this video we're going to be going over operators which can help us with logical statements, comparison statements, and arithmetic statements. So let's get started immediately with the basic mathematical operators. And for this example we're going to create a few integers. One's going to be an int, which is x, and that's going to equal 20. And we're also going to create a y, which will be equal to 8. So we're just going to print out all of the arithmetic operators we can use in programming. So let's get started by typing cout, and then we need to go ahead and create our first operation. And one of the most basic ones, of course, is the addition operator. So if we go ahead and run this program now, you're going to notice we'll get the answer of 28. Very similar to that, we have the minus, so we're going to get 12. If you want to do a multiplication, you're going to use an asterisk, which is going to multiply it. So if we save that and run that, we're going to get 160. And of course, to not leave out the division operator, we're just going to add that, which is just a slash, and we'll get 2 as an answer because 2 fits into 20 only 2 times. And if we wanted to get that to be a 2.5, we would have to go ahead and change this to a float and then do the operation. And then it would be precise enough to give us 2.5. But let's also talk about the modulus operator. So as you could see, when we use the division symbol, we only get 2, but we don't really know what the remainder is, which of course is 4, but that's what the modulus operator does for us. It calculates the remainder of the division, so 8 goes into 20 2 times with a remainder of 4, and that's how the modulus operator works. Otherwise, we have 2 more that we can use, and the first one is the increment operator. So adding 2 pluses will increment the value by 1, which means we'll end up with a value of 21. Otherwise, if we do minus minus, you'll see that we will end up with a value of 19. And if you do plus plus, it's first going to print the result and then increment it. So we actually have to go ahead and print x one more time to see that it effectively incremented the result. So now if we run the program, you're going to notice we're going to get 20 for the first print statement and 21 for the second, because this tells the program that this is the value we want to be printed first and then incremented after. So that covers the basic arithmetic operators. Now you may have noticed that the plus plus is really nice to increment the number by 1. But what if we want to increment it by 4 or 5? So let's delete this. And before, we're just going to assign a new value to x. So we're going to do x equals x plus 5. Now if we save and print out the value, we'll get 25 as the answer. But what I want to show you here is that there is a shortcut for that. And if we go back, we just add a plus there, save, and we will get the exact same result with some cleaner code. Now, this also works with multiplication, subtraction, and division. So you can just do that to save a small line of code. So now we have 20 times 5. And if we actually duplicate this line of code, we're going to get 500. And there's not really much more to explain about that. You can even use the modulus operator and so on. It's just a fast way to increment a value that we've already defined. But let's get rid of that and move on to comparison operators. So comparison operators are used for checking whether a statement is true or false. So they can only return either true or false, which is correspondent to 0 and 1. So let's go ahead and check whether x is greater than y. To do that, we would go ahead and type in x, and we would add the right arrow and type in the y. So just like in algebra, we can check whether one value is greater than another. And we have to put a pair of parentheses around this. Now if we save and print, it's going to return 1 because that is a true statement. We can also check if they are equal to each other, which is not going to be the case. So it's going to return 0. And we can check if it's not equal to y just by adding an exclamation mark. In general, it's going to do the opposite of whatever you're checking. So the exclamation mark is pretty much a not. So now if we go ahead and run the program, we're going to get true because x is not equal to y. Now there's something else you should know. If x is more or equal to y, let's just pretend that y is 20 for some reason. This operator is going to return true because x is more or equal to y. So if we run the program, we'll have a 1 as a response. Otherwise, if we just leave that, it's going to return false because y is not greater than x. And you can do it the other way around, of course. So this is going to return true, and the other way around is going to return false as well. So those were the basic comparison operators. Now let's go ahead and change y back to 8. And the final thing I'm going to show you are the logical operators. So logical operators can help us with multiple statements. So actually for this example, I'm going to go ahead and add z, which is going to equal 10. So here we're going to write x is less than y, and we're going to introduce the new logical operator, which is the AND. So now we can check two statements in one line. And we're going to check whether x is less than z. So this is only going to return true if both of these comparisons return true. So if we save and run the program, we're going to get false because z is not bigger than x and y is not bigger than x. But if we turn this around, they're both going to be true, so we're going to get true as a result. But even if one of them is wrong, it's going to return false. But now we also have the double pipeline, which corresponds to OR. So only one of these have to be correct for this whole statement to pass and return true. So as you can see, x is bigger than y, even though z is not bigger than x. And we're still going to get 1 as a return because that is true for one of these two. And the final one to include is the negate. So this will just do the opposite of whatever you're checking, which means if x is bigger than y, that's going to return true. And then we're going to change that x is bigger than z, which is also true. So this is going to check just the opposite of this, which means essentially we're going to have 0 as a return. And as you can see right there, we have a 0 because this is only going to check whether everything inside here is false. And if one of these things turns false, then we're going to get true as a response. So in general, you can just look at the exclamation mark as a negation symbol if you want the opposite of whatever you're doing. But with that being said, guys, I believe I explained the majority of the operators that you'll be using throughout your programming career. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to look at them. Otherwise, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.